If you read scriptures, holy men typically have their own unique, intimate version of God, right? They all have a different name for him.
Right, right,
I mean, he has a different relationship with
right,
each and every one of us. So who are you to say, who you call on, whatever
right,
syllables come out of your mouth? If it comes out Allah, you know who we're talking about.
right. Exactly. I have an
Mhm.
understanding. Like
Yeah,
that's my
Yeah.
main thing. I have an understanding of anybody's higher power.
yeah. And it's just got to be something outside of you that's bigger than you
That's right.
that loves you.
You got to know it's not you.
Yeah. Let's say that again, man. Say that
You have
again.
to know it's not you. Then you will get a sort of an understanding of what's going on.
And now it's another time for the superest show ever with your host, Dylan Wade.
All right. We are on episode 2021. We will get back to regular random numbering next episode.
We
But
do.
I think,
Wait, what?
but what?
Random numbering? What do you mean?
Random numbering?
Yeah.
Episode 3160.5, I believe, was our episode right before 2020.
Wait, you mean we've been listing these episodes completely random?
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't know this?
I thought those were the actual episode numbers, Dylan.
I'm sorry. I think you've been lied to.
Who did that, Dylan? There's only
Uh,
the two of us. Just you and me.
yeah. I don't know. It must be the Uberverse.
The Ubabus spitteth. All right,
The
episode
Uberverse.
2021. I'll take it.
Uh,
How's your day been going, bud?
my day's been going all right. It's been a bit of a boring day, but boring is good because boring means nothing crazy and bad happened. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Well, I think we left off last time. I had started a 12 steps course, and I had that tonight. It was a pretty good meeting, and a bunch of men sitting around who've been through a bunch of stuff and have a bunch of different issues, not just one in particular, talking about their stuff and lifting each other up, and it's good, good deal. It's good, good.
That, that is good. I'm glad.
It's good, good. Yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
drowning myself in therapy in all kinds of ways.
If you had told yourself that you'd be doing this 6 weeks ago, you'd have slapped yourself.
If I would have, if you would have told me I was doing this 6 weeks ago, yeah, you'd,
I remember how you felt about therapy in one of our last recordings.
yeah, you would see the back of my Zen in the car hoodie, that's for sure. But not anymore. My eyes have been opened. And
Here's to opening your eyes further, friend.
yeah, it's further. And we have a special treat tonight.
Ooh, I love treats.
So, I've been talking about Maurice falling for a lot of time now off the air and even on the air a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we talked about him in the last two episodes. He wrote a book called From Shepherds to Shadows. And I don't know if I actually gave the rest of the title, but it's the story of heroism and neurological expeditions. Right? Pretty cool title.
Yes. Yeah, good title.
So I just finished it last night, and of course I had to go get Maurice, and I was like, dude, we got to talk about your book right now. We got to tell your story right now while it's fresh in my head. So without further ado, I have beamed aboard Maurice Falling on board the Starships Enterprise, and he's here with us tonight. Hey, Maurice.
Hey, how you doing, Daniel?
Man, you know me. How's it been going, bro?
Man, taking it easy.
Hello.
Dylan, this is Maurice. Maurice, this is Dylan.
Maurice, nice to meet you, man. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, that's what's up. Hey, nice to meet you too, Dylan, man. I've heard a lot about you as well.
So just a little bit about Maurice before we get started. I'll read the back of his book in a very professional voice, and then add a couple of things of my own.
All right.
Maurice Aaron Falling is an entrepreneur, music producer, and clothing designer. He enjoys spending time in nature, movie. I'm sorry, Maurice, I screwed that up.
You fine, man.
We're not going to edit that. Let me start over.
Terrible.
Maurice Aaron Foley is an entrepreneur, music producer, and clothing designer. He enjoys spending time in nature, movie watching, which is going to be awesome, dude, and spending time with his family, which is so true. He resides in Georgia with his wife Nadia and his daughter Zenobia, who I lovingly call Zenny, which I think is so interesting. I think that's so cool that your daughter's name is Zenobia and we're on zenandthecar.com. It's just,
It goes hand in hand.
and I'm going to tell you something, dude, especially after people hear your story, one of the biggest blessings that I have walking out my front door sometimes is seeing you pick that little girl up and put her on your shoulders and spin her around. And as we go through your story, I think people are going to realize why that is such a, for me to walk out my door and to see you doing that shows me that anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that too, for sure. No.
So I just finished your book, and we're going to kind of go through it a little bit, but mainly I just want people to know what your story is because I love superheroes. Dylan loves superheroes, and me and him were talking the other night about you, and I was like, man, Maurice is like Jonathan Pangborn from Doctor Strange, the guy who was paralyzed and couldn't walk. You know who I'm talking about?
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Jonathan
Hey, so
Pangborn.
look, so we match up because with all I've been through, you know what I'm saying, and me watching a lot of movies and everything, it really does resonate even further than what I can understand on a superhero level. But it's amazing how they can make movies that resonate to a real life traumatic situation that I had, you know.
Yeah,
So
Dylan and I talk about that all the time is that these are modern day myths that we can identify with and put ourselves in those roles, that it's
right,
more than just entertainment for people like us.
right.
These
Yeah.
give us deep introspective looks at our own struggles and how we can overcome, right, Dylan?
Yeah, it's why I love fiction so much,
Yeah.
just
I
in
mean,
general.
life imitates art.
It
So,
does.
Maurice,
Hmm.
you are a fellow Georgian.
Yes, I am
Were
from
you
Fort
born here?
Valley, Georgia. I'm
For,
actually from Fort Valley, Georgia, born in Warner Robins, Georgia, 1981, actually. Um, I'm 39. I'll be 40 on July the 3rd.
Team 40.
Yep. And it's been a nice experience, you know, growing and living and experiencing all I've experienced in life, you know. So I'm just happy to be here, honestly, and appreciative.
Now, how long did you live in Fort Valley before you came to Warner Robins?
I stayed in Fort Valley most of my life. I'll say before my accident, I stayed there for 18 years. And then after the accident, I came back for a couple of more years before I resided in Warner Robins, Georgia, you know.
Now, in your book, you talk a lot about family and everything. From what I gather, your relationship with your parents is pretty good.
Yes, it is. I had my mom and my father in my life the whole time. And so, um,
Still married.
still married.
How about
You
that?
know, yep, still married, you know. So I got instilled with some values that I didn't know that I was getting instilled with. So,
Hmm.
that's my
Well,
upbringing really. Like, you know, my mom and my father, they're really my upbringing because I had a traumatic situation at an early age and they were there the whole time.
right. Now we're going to get to the traumatic event, the meteorite strike, as I call it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's just what I call it.
Gotcha.
Traumatic event. Um, so you were born in Fort Valley. You kind of came to Warner Robins. Of course, we call it Wartown,
Right.
either Wartown or the 478, right?
Right.
Now we live in a very, me and you both know, me and you are very spiritual men. So we see what's going on in this town near the biggest logistical Air Force base in the world. Some freaky stuff happens in this town. Am I lying?
Oh, you're correct. You're correct. It's different, you know. I mean, me not being from here, especially, I'm able to observe a little differently. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to, of course, get out here and mingle with my counterparts. Sometimes moving around the city, the
Mhm.
unfamiliar city that I'm in. You know, but they don't know that I'm coming from a whole different background. You know, so I'm able to see the different things that go on.
Right. So I want you to talk a little bit about your early years. Of course, we're going to move towards the meteor strike, but
Yes.
you were a football player.
Correct. Played football my earlier years. Started playing recreation ball at age 10.
Mhm.
I played middle school ball at middle school in Fort Valley Middle School. Tried out for high school ball, didn't make the team, unfortunately, because of grades and, up and down situations. Ran track at Peach County High School my 12th grade year, finished it out as a senior. Graduated from Peach County High School, attended Middle Georgia Tech.
Mhm.
From there on, I went to Fort Valley State. I attended Fort Valley State under my business entrepreneurs courses so I can try to get my business license. So,
Mhm. So like the only athletics that I'm really into is paintball, but I don't get sports. Like I don't know, like in basketball, I don't know if you throw the ball in a basket or if you hit it with a club. I don't know any of that. But I
I'm
do
pretty sure you kick the ball into the basket.
in
It,
basketball.
I think so. Am I? No, I could be wrong about that. I
Oh,
know less about sports.
I get them all confused. Needless to say, you were very physical.
yes,
Like
yes,
like your instrument, your temple, your body was, you were
correct,
very much in tune with that.
correct.
Wow. Okay, so that leading up to the meteor strike is to me is yeah. So um being very physical, what was your because this is a spiritual show, we don't discriminate against different faiths, but what was the upbringing as far as spiritually? And I know we're in
Um,
the Bible Belt, so
oh, understandable. But yeah, honestly, my mom, she was raising me as a Christian because her value system from where she was raised led her through uh, what she would consider a decent upbringing. And so she wanted her children to come up with some of the guidelines that she had for herself, you know. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know what those guidelines were, but she had me going to church as a Christian and not following the Christian ways, but following her ways. But the main course that
Can,
was taught in the church was Christianity. Yeah. And my mom had a spiritual upbringing of Christianity. And with her having a Christianity upbringing, it kind of weaned me to be under the Christianity guidelines. But as I was growing, she also gave me freedom to become like uh, my natural upbringing as well. So she didn't really lock me into my Christianity side, but she gave me guidelines on what she had learned from her upbringing of Christianity, you know.
basically she let you do the whole Romans 14, which is come up with your own relationship and rituals with what you
Correct, correct.
okay.
She
Cool.
always told me it was within. She said it was within me.
Okay.
yeah, that's necessary, and I think that a lot of Christians miss that part.
Now, just out of curiosity, Maurice, do you remember everybody that you dedicated your book to?
I actually don't remember everyone, not by name, you
Okay.
know. It was so emotional at the moment. I
Right.
couldn't really like remember everybody, you know.
When you say emotional, is that when you saw your name on the cover of a book?
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it feels
Like
good, don't it?
it really did. It really did. And it still does, you know. Like I was trying to get a emotion out that I had locked in personally and I had no way to get it out to a masses of the world, but at the same time, I felt like I wanted to inspire.
Hmm.
And being trapped within, it was like kind of hard to inspire, knowing that physically I can't inspire, nor can I reach a masses. So it was kind of had me it kind of had me bottled up. So I needed to release some kind of way, and it helped me release when I was able to see what I was trying to release.
Well, I'm glad that you did, man, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a long read, people. And Maurice, by the way, tell people where they can get your book before we keep going.
Okay, you can get my book on Amazon.com, and it's From Shepherds to Shadows, from Maurice Falling,
Okay.
and that's where it's on
Mm.
that platform, Shepherd from
All right.
Amazon.
So anybody listening, just go ahead and pick the book up because you're gonna love this. Now, all right. So you don't remember everybody you dedicated it to. Now I got the book in my hand, so haha.
Right.
But yeah, if you had to boil it down to two people,
I actually would dedicate it to my daughter
mhm,
and my mom, like for sure, because they're like an inspiration within that I can't even explain. When I have deep thoughts of life, it's like she created me and I created her. My mom created me and I created my daughter. And it's like the creation of just really touches me in a sense.
yeah,
So
especially later in the book where there was a point where you thought you'd never have kids, right?
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. So to see like that's another thing to see you out there with Zenny is just it makes me have hope in the morning, for a lot of things. So but anyway, I digress. So number seven, man, what's up with number seven? Your number seven, what's up with that?
Ah man. My number seven, that's my number, man. Like, that's my lucky number. That's my number from childhood playing ball. It's like that's the month I was born. It's like that number just keeps coming up in my life. And it was like it's just a special number to me.
Right. Have you ever heard that seven was the number of divine intervention?
Never heard it.
That's what it is, dude. That's what it is. All right. So I think we've kind of gotten a little bit to know you a little bit, but let's get to the meteor strike, man. I'm going to mute out for a
Okay.
second, and I want you to just tell people what happened that day that changed everything, and just flow.
All right. Okay. So on February 24th, the year 2000, I was commuting to school from Fort Valley, Georgia, going to Middle Georgia Technical College at the time. And during my break, I was going to cash a check that I had received from Dan Rivers Textile Company, a place that I was working overnight. And I had 2 hours to for break so that I can make it and cash my check at the bank. So when when I go on break, I'm gonna go cash my check. And during that ride, on the way back to cash the check, I had a car accident. And that car accident hospitalized me.
Now, from what I was reading in the book, you didn't do anything wrong. You were just driving, listening to Jay Z, Big Pimpin', was it?
Correct, correct. I was listening to Jay-Z Big Pimpin',
Um,
thinking about going to cash my check that I had received. And
which
and
one will do with a check in their hand?
right. And I heard a noise, and by the time I sat up, my tire had blew out, and
How
it
fast
flipped
were you
me.
going?
I was going approximately 60 to 65 miles per hour,
Okay.
and my tire blew out, and it it pulled, and the car flipped over into a ravine, and it flipped 6 times.
Mm.
And as the car flipped 6 times, it crashed into a tree and came to a abrupt stop and threw me out of the car. I really don't know how I got thrown out or where, but it threw me out of the vehicle. And uh, after that, I woke up in the hospital, probably like a week later. And this I got told to me after the fact. I woke up in the hospital and I was on a rotating bed for 24 hours because they couldn't do surgery on me, and they had to make sure that I didn't have any fluids on my lungs and make sure I came out of my coma before they did any surgeries. And from what I'm told, once I came out of my coma, um, they rushed me in to do the surgeries on me and everything. And pretty much that's where another journey started. That's one
All right.
part of
Well,
my journey.
hold your potatoes.
Hmm.
So I can't imagine being in a coma. So it was like you were in your car, you heard the tire, it blew, and then what did you just weren't there for a week, or?
Correct, correct. I wasn't there. Like for I had. everything that I'm replacing now, someone had to tell me so that I can catch back up
Yeah.
because I thought that it was moments after, but I still was incoherent about what was going on. It was like almost like a dream, you know.
Did you dream when you were in a coma?
I actually did, but when I dreamed I was in a coma, that's how I knew I was dreaming. I actually thought I was walking,
Uh,
and when I woke up, I actually was in a halo and a neck brace and a body cast in a hospital bed, you know.
no, for people who don't know what a halo is, now I do, and Dylan, you probably do too.
Yeah.
What's a halo? Go ahead, Dylan. I'm
It's
sorry.
no. All I was gonna say was I've been in a similar position. I was not in a coma the same way you were, but I've been in medically induced comas. So I know what that's like. Yeah. Sometimes you do dream. It's
Yeah,
really weird.
it's weird, really weird.
I
It's
couldn't
really strange.
I couldn't imagine, man. So, and I can already tell because I'm looking at you that even bringing this up in detail is bringing up some emotion. So, if at any point you need to take a breath, I get you, dude.
Yeah,
But
Daniel and I can riff for a couple of minutes if you need a break.
yeah, I mean, I can
Oh,
tell.
you cool, you cool.
All right. Um, describe for people exactly what a halo is, because and be as visceral as you can with it, because I want them to know the. I really want people to understand the severity of what you went through, so that they
Okay,
can understand the miracle that they're hearing right now. So, describe for people what a halo is.
understandable. So a halo is a medical tool that they use to keep your head stabilized once you break a bone in your neck or in your spine and it's stabilized and it's screwed. The metal ring goes around the outside of your crown of your head and it's over your head. And then it has four pointed tips that screw in the front. Two comes in the front and two comes in the back to make sure it's even and make sure it's stable. And then it has metal rods that connect down to a body cast that stabilizes the halo to make sure that it doesn't move and keeps the bones and everything growing back in a general position, you know. So it's like a three-in-one contraption. You have the ring, you have the pins,
Hmm.
and you have the metal rods, and then they're connected to the body cast.
So you wake up a week later. Like when you woke up and you like, did you try to move at first? Like, what was your first thoughts upon waking up from the coma?
My first thoughts were actually to get back started where I left off at. Like, let
No,
me
I
get
mean
a.
like I mean the very first, like when you first opened your eyes.
When I first opened my eyes, I was ready to get up. I was ready to walk, and I told my brother I was still, I guess, in the state of shock.
Hmm.
I told my brother to take the straps off of my legs and take the straps off of my body. I could I could move, I could go, I could get up.
But you couldn't.
I couldn't medically, physically, you know, like mentally, I was ready, you know, and it was like nothing had happened, and it was like everybody just move out my way. I got this, you know.
No.
Yeah.
But
Could
I didn't.
could you feel anything?
Mentally, I could, but in actuality, when the doctors came to check and they stuck the pins in my body,
Hmm.
they showed my parents that I really couldn't feel anything. I was in a state of trauma, in a state of shock,
Yeah, I know all about that.
because I wanted to feel, and I wanted to be okay.
Did somebody have to tell you you were in a car accident, or did you know?
Yeah, no, I didn't know. My mom had to tell me. She had to come talk to me in my ear and let me know what happened to me. And
Uh, if you don't mind, what did you think happened? Because when I came out of my medically induced coma, for whatever reason, I had thought I was in a cruise ship accident.
and the brain will play with you like that. In actuality, though, like I really didn't know. I had so many thoughts, Dylan. Honestly, I really didn't know what to think, but I know I was sane to understand reality, and it was like
Yeah.
crossing my brain up. And it was like
Yeah.
my physical crossed my brain up with my reality of like my intellect. I was really knowing that I'm intellectually smart enough to know that I can't move, but my brain is like, let's do this,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
So you, so did you know you were in shock?
I didn't know. I
Okay, you know
I,
now.
I know now.
All right.
I
I'm
didn't
gonna
know.
I want to read a passage from your book, if that's okay.
That's fine.
This is part 5 out of the book. Entitled "He'll Never," all caps, walk again. It says, "Me hearing those words from a doctor was like an earthquake to my life. They didn't know me, and I didn't know how to view them. I had not been mentally trained to block certain things out. I asked my mom, 'What did he say?' She told me not to listen and that it was in God's hands. She was protecting me. She guarded my mind and feelings. She didn't want any outside influence. Honestly, it didn't register that way that it does now." So, dude, I can't even imagine being in your position and somebody coming in the room saying you will never walk again. So, to tell me how long was it after you woke up before you heard those words?
um, okay. I woke up. They did the rest surgery on me. I woke up 5 days after the coma. I was in Macon Medical Hospital. That's where I had my first surgeries performed. Then they rushed me to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta so that I could start my physical therapy and my occupational therapy so that I won't be missing any of the treatments. And then um probably like 4 days later,
Hmm.
they said I had to have a meeting, and that's when the doctor told me that. He came in there and he told me I was still in a wheelchair and everything, and he pushed me in there, and my mom pushed me in there actually, and sat me at the meeting at the chair, and I was feeling kind of odd because it was like I was hurt. I didn't understand why I was sitting at a big round table, you know,
Yeah.
and it was like he came in there and he said he showed me well, he didn't show me a diagram. He actually showed me a spine,
Hmm.
I don't know what to call it.
A model.
Yeah, he showed me a model of a spine, and he said, "This is what happened to you." He
All
said,
right,
"You,
now you got this memorized, don't you?
yeah, I got it memorized."
Spit it
Like
out. Spit it. Spit it.
he said, "This is what happened to you." He said, "You broke your C6, your C7, your L1, your L2," and he showed me with the model how it broke.
Uh-huh. Describe for people what you're doing with your hands right now. I can see you, but they can't.
Well, yeah, I'm when I say C6 and C7, I'm contorting the bones of the nerve of the spine, and the model that he had, when he contorts it, it breaks the bones just like your bones would be broken. So he showed me how my bones had broke, and he said I would never be able to walk again. I would have to get ready for someone to take care of me for the rest of my life. And, and it hit me just like it hit me now.
Yeah.
Like, what did he say? And
Were you mad at him?
I actually was. I was mad because I didn't understand at the moment that he was a man with a mentality that was doing a job. I
Mhm,
hadn't got that far in life yet because I was still a kid, you
mhm.
know. But I understand today that he was just doing a job, you know, and he doesn't have oversight of the higher things in life. But
Right,
you
right.
know what I'm saying. So I don't mess with him with that. But I was mad at that moment for sure, you know.
Yeah.
I
Now
just want to make sure, you
s-
know.
spit it out again. The injury.
Yeah, C6, C7, L1, 2, C6, C7, L1, L2, S5.
Now, Dylan, does any of that sound? Because it's all Greek to me. But does that speak to
No.
you?
My my spinal injury or whatever it is something that they've never been able to diagnose properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a spinal injury. They don't know what it is. So that doesn't. Yeah, sorry, I can't explain that one.
Understandable, understandable for sure.
So you hear you're never going to walk again. Were your what was your first thoughts like? Uh, damn, or was it like, well, watch and see?
My first thoughts were being a young kid. the doctor know what he talking about.
Hmm.
And then getting rolled back to that room, that ride to the room with my mom and my dad pushing me, I went to thinking like, man, what he talking about? He must been in a position like this. Has he ever been in a position like this? And that's what kind of shook me out of thinking that he's just right as a doctor, you
Hmm.
know. And it was like I still had my I always believed. I never gave up. That's one thing. Like I didn't give up on the fight. I didn't want to I didn't want to believe that it was happening to me. I didn't want to believe that I couldn't be strong, you know.
Right.
Like that's the main thing. Like just the strength of me, like mentally. It's something mental. It really doesn't have to do anything with my physical. Really, it was
Mhm.
something mental. Like I have respect and humility for the next man on what they're saying, but when it comes to me, it's like I believe, you know what I'm saying, that I have more strength mentally, you know.
Right. Right. So you're back in the room after you hear you'll never walk again. Was it you and your parents, or
Yeah, it was just me and my mom and my dad, you know.
what
That's
was that? What was that discussion like after?
it was real quiet because my mom prays a lot and
Yeah.
she's quiet and she might come up and say a couple of words to me. She might be like, "Baby, don't listen to them."
Did she say that?
She said that.
How about that?
She
I-
said, "Baby, don't listen to them."
Ain't that something?
Yeah. And my dad, he's like just quiet. He says nothing. He just looked out the window. And he's the type that my mom has to reassure as well. He's like a older me that had to learn with her. He didn't get a chance to grow up with her, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I am not one to begrudge somebody witty titles.
Mhm.
Usually, when I have something creative I want to do, I'll typically come up with the title first. But it didn't dawn on me until I was in the part of your book where you actually the title of your book is From Shepherds to Shadows. You were
Correct.
in Shepherd's Hospital.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so to the shadows, I guess we'll get a little bit later. So in part six, you say that they told you you're not going to be going home. So what was it? They were basically telling you that for the rest of your life, you'd have to be waited on hand and foot. You'd have to have all kinds of equipment, yada yada.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I got fitted for my wheelchair. Um, I I had to learn how to do transfers. I had to learn how to do everything from
Mhm.
a paraplegic
Yeah.
environment because everything was at that level now.
Mm.
I mentally was strong, but physically I had to do everything that was gonna really have to help take care of me on a self-sustainable level, just like he had said it. Get ready for that, you know.
Mhm.
Like so I did had to start out like that for sure, you know.
Right.
That is something I can empathize with.
How so? Go ahead.
Dealing with having to adapt to the idea of you having to have somebody help you do everything.
Hmm.
Um, that's something I'm constantly adapting to. I mean, uh, having people come into the house to help me, uh,
Right.
it's something. It, I, I'm glad you're not in that position because it's something that you never get used to, or at
Right.
least I
Right.
never have gotten used to it.
But
Yeah.
I will say, like accept it though, you know, like do accept it because you know it is a strength. Like I appreciate the mental for sure though, you know, because it's like I don't want any help, but the ones that help me, I do appreciate them, even though I have
Oh yeah.
this psychological feeling about myself to be like, I don't want your help. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, but
No,
then when they leave, it's like I really do appreciate that though, you know.
oh yeah, no, I don't resent them for it. I'm grateful to them
Right,
for
right.
it, but
Uh,
I'll never get used to the feeling.
Mentally, I understand.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
la-
I
and
know.
the and the last one, Dylan and I were talking about, but me having to reach out for a therapist and help and things for my conditions, which are invisible. You guys
Right.
have visible stuff. Um, but Dylan had made the comment. It's actually it takes great strength to ask for help, which was a
It
hard
does.
lesson. God, it was a hard lesson for me to
Ooh,
learn, Maurice.
ooh.
God, it was.
I'm
You,
still
you
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, and another theme we touched on last episode was accepting that you're powerless. And for somebody with a physical condition, I'm sure you had to come to that acceptance to some
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, Maurice,
yes.
because
Till today.
in the eighth part, you mama's baby. You're
Right,
you're the baby and I'm the baby, so we can relate right there. But you talk about basically you became your mom's baby again. So speak to that.
right. Like I had to realize that okay, when the accident happened, I'm 18. So you know how we get when we turn a certain age as men, we feel like we're men, you know? Okay, now it's time for my mom to start taking care of me again. And it's like I don't want the help, but now it's like that's when I was able to accept it because now she has to partake in changing my diaper again, partake in helping me learn how to use the bathroom again, partake in getting my sheets when I'm cold and warming them up in the dryer for me, partake in washing my clothing, like brushing my teeth, putting lotion on my hands, like everything that it took for me to
Mhm.
everything that I was supposed to be doing for myself. And it made me realize she had already done it before.
So can I ask a question just because I don't remember if you said it. Your injury, I know it put you in a wheelchair, but did you have any use of your hands?
At first, I didn't. I was from the neck down. I was
Okay.
paralyzed from the neck down at first, and
Oh,
then slowly, um,
slowly
I,
got your strength back.
yeah, and it was like, I mean, years at a time. It wasn't like I was hurt and it came right back. I walked around for 5 years with my right side, and I'm not literally walking. Like just, I went from um wheelchair to walk strengths, back to the wheelchair to just want to be upright. But
Hmm.
I could not feel my right side. I mean, I was numb to the touch.
Hmm.
When I get in the tub, I feel like needles were sticking through my body.
Hmm.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it was hard to even take a bath.
Yeah.
It was like it was very unsatisfying. You know what I'm saying? It was just different. My whole life, everything that was normal was not normal anymore. Until this day, I'm just more adjusted to it, and I'm more content with living this beautiful life that I was given. But I am able to adjust.
It's awesome. And I've never met your mom,
Right.
but I know you, so I kind of know your mom through you.
True
But
that.
when she was taking care of you, I'm just going to make a wild guess. I bet you she never complained or grumbled, did she?
Never,
Not
never,
once. And that's
never,
something.
Eh, yeah. I
never.
I wish I could say the same, but yeah.
So, well, you know. So when you were going through physical therapy, I think you were at the hospital for a long time before you actually went home to a customized house. Because
Yes.
your parents moved up near Atlanta.
Yes, they did. Actually, through the Shepherd Center,
Mhm.
um, I actually was staying in the Shepherd Center. My mom and them had to go home every day, and before I could leave, I had to do a program, like a halfway house. So during that time, I would have had to been in the hospital at least 8 months by now. And now I'm going to a halfway house, which was also tended by the Shepherd Center. And my mom was able to move into that halfway house with me to be like my occupational therapist so that she can help me learn how to wash clothes and do dishes and get back to the normal life things that they told me that I need help with.
All right. Now this chapter right here, is it cool if I read a whole chapter? You're the
That's fine.
copyright owner, so I
That's
want to
fine.
read this whole chapter because this right here, Maurice, when I was reading this, I was like, my God, you know, me and you've discussed your issues and my issues, never to this depth before.
Right.
Um, and your book, like, honestly, it it touched me, dude. It touched me more than you know, and that's
I
why I want to do
appreciate it for
this.
sure.
So I'm going to read part 11, mental toughness. You remember writing this?
Yes.
Okay. says, you got to be tough when going through tragic life situations. There has to be some toughness about you. I didn't know that I was that tough. I didn't know that. Oh, sorry. Start over because I screwed up your prose, bruh.
You fine?
Chastise me, Dylan.
Terrible podcast host,
Terrible,
Daniel.
terrible
Just
podcasting.
the worst.
All right, let me get back in character. Me.
Bye bye bye.
Mental toughness. You got to be tough when going through tragic life situations. There has to be some toughness about you. I didn't know that I was that tough. I didn't know that I was mentally capable of trying to remain focused. There was no good ending to this story. There was no anticipation of the day that I would be okay. I was going to be this way for the rest of my life, a permanent change. I had to make a decision. I was going to make the best of every level. During that time, my life was different. I had never considered myself a people person, but I was now being pushed to meet new people all of the time. I had to constantly interact with hospital physicians, specialists, nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, recently admitted patients, and current patients. To enhance our interactions and regain some form of independence, patients were allowed to visit me in my room. I made a couple of friends. We shared some commonalities. There were things that only we had gone through in life. I want you to make note of that sentence, Maurice. I had a newfound family. We were all struggling to get to a new level, even though we didn't know what that new level looked like. It was our first time experiencing something so traumatic. From broken backs to broken necks, from stab wounds to gunshots, from train accidents to pool accidents, from severe burns to being left for dead, we were all faced with the aftermath of shattered nervous systems. Our state of being was proof that no matter what the cause, we were each left with similar effects. Results so much alike that we were all admitted to the same specialty center, and that was the category we belonged in. But I didn't stop. It was more mental work to accomplish the things I planned to accomplish. It went day by day. Things wouldn't change second by second. I wouldn't get to see the progression. I just had to know that because of my belief, every second would eventually count for something because the second I failed to believe, that's when the action would stop. Man, that's powerful. I got to put that on a t-shirt. I was the entity. It is good to have people around that believe, second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. I couldn't think about next week. It was imperative for me to think about right now. Eventually, I had to have that one channel that I was really working on, from the doctor saying that I wouldn't walk to mom saying that it would be okay, and dad not saying anything at all. I had to think about what I wanted to do, and then I had to attempt mentally on a physical level, even though I couldn't move. I knew I could move my toe because it's connected in some way. I wasn't a baby anymore, so I could intensely think about what I wanted to do. That's the work. My inspiration was a guy who was already standing when I got there. He didn't get to therapy. He was my inspiration because my eyes could see something that should have never been possible. So, what I really want you to talk about right there, because this is a new experience for me, is being amongst other people who have been through a traumatic event. Like I say, you know, somebody with PTSD or somebody without PTSD or CPTSD doesn't understand that. But if I see somebody else who does have it, we just nod because we don't need words. So talk a little bit about being amongst other people who've been through traumatic events, because even though on the surface your scars were physical, me and you both know they were internal too.
Right.
So talk about what being around other people who've been through trauma did for you during this time in your life.
Mainly, being around others that had trauma, you know, it it actually makes you have more empathy for the fact of, and it actually kind of shallows you away from your injury a little bit. It's not a competition in a sense, you know. I came with 10 people and 20 people around me, and we have to get up early in the morning, and each one of us, first off, I didn't want to talk about my injury because I didn't have an understanding of what had went on. But I hear them talking about their injuries and what had went on, and none of us had the same situations going on. But here we are all together, you know, like trying to explain like we were in school what's going on with us, like we wouldn't understand, you know. And so it made me get get a sense of understanding of like how many people out here that have situations. And this was just because I was facilitated in that sense. Like, other than that, I was just coming up along, just growing. But in that facility, everybody had something that was empathetic about them. And it was like, I couldn't hardly think about myself because I had this surrounding me. All I could do would think about was like, we gonna be okay. Now this is my new group. We gonna be okay. We all right. People looking at us like something wrong with us. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, but I had to transition from someone that was physically able and nothing was ever wrong with me to my new group of people that were fresh to the same situation. And it just opened my eyes to just this situation that once again it was just that present situation that just
Now, amongst the group, I'm sure there were people who you had different degrees of people who were there with you, people who had no hope, people who were mad, people who were in denial, and then there was the individual who gave you inspiration because he was already standing. So
right.
did you find that there was a diversity in the different levels of where people were in accepting their injuries?
I actually did because I saw a lot of people denying the injuries, and I didn't want to be one of those. Like I had a guy that was with me, and he got shot,
Mhm.
and the way he got injured, the way his mom told the story, and the way he was saying it while we were doing our interview within the well, it wasn't an interview. Let me take that back. It was I would say it was a counseling meeting,
Mhm.
just giving us counseling. And he was giving the story differently. And I was looking at him tell the story, and it was like, I don't want to be one of those people, you know what I'm saying? Because I really don't know what happened to me, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that was the main thing. Till this day, Daniel, I really want to tell the truth. I really don't have an understanding truly of what happened to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a present situation that I had to deal with, and it showed me that I had strength to deal with things that I had no idea would come forth in life.
Mhm.
It's like
So did you tend to steer clear of the negative people?
I really did because it's a lot of that goes on. Like that's what I'm trying to say is really a lot of negative when you're hurt, and I can feel it because I'm still a hurt person, and it's like I drive myself to be positive. I
Mhm.
drive myself to be inspirational. I drive myself not to give up, you know. So I see what that trauma and what that negative energy does to you. And
Mhm.
I just never want to fit in that pool, even though I am one of those people. It's like it's a negative energy that you want to get across from your inner hurt.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, man. I believe in helping people in bad ways all the time, but with negativity emotions too, you got to be
Right.
careful because you try to lift them up out of a ditch. Sometimes they'll pull you in that ditch with them.
Right. Right.
You
And if
know.
you can hear it 10 people at a
Yeah.
time,
They won't even mean to.
right.
It's
Yeah, they
just
want
It's
to
no
where
hurt you.
they're
fault to
at.
them. Exactly. It's no fault to them. But you can really feel that energy though.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something I have to work on because everybody tells me I got superhero syndrome. You can't save them all, and I'm learning that, and I'm doing that. But it's like it's the same thing with your emotions too, not just physical stuff. Money and stuff like that. Those are tangible things, but your energy, your emotions, like you got to be careful how much you give out. Like you said last time, Dylan, you only got a limited bandwidth, right? And
Yeah, you have to help yourself before you can start helping other people to your own detriment.
now let me make a preface. I am not saying that I got this down pat. I'm saying that I'm working on this.
Hmm.
L-
Maurice just pointed his finger up because he
I'm
knows
with you.
that's the truth.
I was on the Gatorade, but I'm with you.
Well, I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but I don't think any of us have got it down pat. I don't think any human being has it down pat.
Right.
Well, I think helping people is, I have a good heart. I know I do. I mean, as good as it can be for a center, but I try to help people, but then you got to be careful it doesn't go into codependency, which I have been guilty of, where I've just been like, all right, I'll take care of my stuff later. Let me save the world first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got
Yeah.
you
And
for sure.
and me and you need we're going to mention the hooks on the shoulders because I had brought that up on the last podcast because it was just for me that was just such a revelation for me. It put a visual on my issues. But before we get into all that, tell me what you thought and what you felt when you saw that guy standing. Like,
Uh, when I saw that guy standing, and I knew that he had a similar injury to mine,
do you remember his name?
ah,
Oh,
I actually don't remember his name.
no worries, no
I
worries.
remember his actions because he ended up getting kicked out of the hospital because he still had some fire in his system, you
Yeah,
know.
hey, you
Yeah.
got to have fire, right?
But that's what I'm saying. I understand. He didn't want to accept it as well. Say for instance, um, being managed, I would call it
Hmm.
mentally,
Hmm.
but in actuality, you just suffered an injury that almost paralyzed you and has your body numb. You know, it doesn't fit hand in hand.
Hmm.
And so that's the reason that they had to release him from the program. But at the same time, it's like I knew it was a fight against his brain to be whoever he was before he came to this environment of traumatized people,
Right.
you know.
So you saw him standing. What was your
And
first thoughts and feelings?
and like this can be done. Like he can really do it, you know. And it's
Like if this asshat can do it.
like he can, there you go. It's
Mhm.
like he's really doing it, and it's like he's nobody that I knew personally, but at the same time, I had an inspiration from
Mhm.
seeing him stand something that I wanted to do so bad once again in my life, you know, knowing that the doctor had told me I'd never do it again, you know, face, excuse me, face to face, you know, and it's like without him knowing he was an inspiration, it was just inspirational, you know. It's like not that me and him had too many conversations at all.
Understood. So we're 52 minutes in. I think it's time to pay a couple of bills and go and make my bladder gladder. How about you, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm good to take a break.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Guys, whatever stuff we're hawking at this commercial that's randomly going to play, buy it. Be right back.
Thank you, healthcare workers.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, first responders.
Thank you, essential workers.
Thank you from CannaSense Total Wellness. Medical cannabis is now legal by telemedicine. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card. Contactless appointments available at cannasense.com. For as low as $39, you can get reviewed for a medical cannabis card. That's cannasense.com for a licensed medical cannabis doctor review. Please take medicine responsibly. CannaSense.com has all the information you need to get connected with a doctor for a $39 medical cannabis appointment. Go to CannaSense.com today for a contactless appointment. That's CannaSense.com. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card at CannaSense.com. CannaSense is common sense. Paid for by the CannaSense Foundation. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Super Show Ever, episode 2021. We are with Maurice Falling, the author of From Shepherds to Shadows, and we've been talking about his life so far. The accident he suffered when he was in high school, college, sorry, and how he recovered from it, what his inspiration was, what the struggle was, and I'm going to let him take it from here because he can explain it a lot more eloquently than I can.
How's that pub mix, Maurice?
Oh man, it's going in.
Yeah, he's got some pub mix and some Gatorade and some Native American water beside him. And after we left the break, he's like, "Man, what did you say? You said this is slamming or some shit?"
Oh yeah,
Sounds
oh yeah.
tasty.
Yeah, ow. It's got pretzels and all kinds of crunchy stuff now. You know, I love to eat on air. Let's go
I know you do. You also, one of your other big favorites is to order food live and answer the door and try to get the DoorDash guy to talk about Man of Steel.
I don't know if you heard that one, Maurice. I don't know how often you listen to the podcast, but yeah, we were recording a live podcast one night, and I had ordered Uber.
Okay.
So if you actually go back and listen to the podcast, you hear me talking to the food delivery guy.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So we don't run like a regular show.
No, no, we do not. I think it's our charm.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's what I tell myself.
That's what we tell ourselves. All right, Maurice, let's get back to you. It's all about you.
Yes.
Um, I wanted you to talk about the process of physical therapy. Like, what types of things? I mean, you're never supposed to walk again. What kind of physical therapy could you do with somebody that's never supposed to walk again?
Um, Actually, when I first started doing physical therapy, it consisted of um, mat stretching, meaning I can't actually physically move myself, but we go through the range of motions,
Mm-hmm.
like if I were able to move so the blood can stay circulating and everything stays intact like it's supposed to without getting stiff and you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say the physical therapy consisted of water aquatics, um, art, outdoors in nature. It was a lot of different experiences that they try to get you back accustomed to very slightly.
Hmm.
And so water is like one of the biggest things because it's really buoyant
Hmm.
and you're able to move your muscles very easily, even if you have the slightest movement in the water without so much resistance towards gravity. And
Hmm.
so that became like one of my favorites because it actually allowed me to feel like I'm able to move more than what I am, you know.
I'm sure you can relate, Dylan. What kind of physical therapy do you have to go through?
They don't do a lot of physical therapy on me anymore, but before and after my last operation, we did a whole bunch of pool therapy,
Hmm.
lots of aquatics. Uh, I think out of every month, I probably did 3 weeks of aquatic therapy a month. Um, and it was a lot of, well, they obviously tailor the program, but it was a lot of like building up my core, making sure I can sit up on my own, trying to help me float. It was a lot of that. My recovery wasn't as extensive because I didn't lose my ability to walk, and there's through many different things. There's no chance I ever will. So they were never tailoring my program towards that. They
Yeah.
were just trying to maintain.
Right.
So, how far into physical therapy did you start to feel things again?
Actually, I would say right around 5 months, I started getting tingling sensations that I thought were tingling sensations because the my toes were sending signals to my brain,
Mm.
and only I could feel it, of course. But when my nurse or my physician come in there in the room, I would tell them that I kind of feel something, and they didn't really think that I would be able to. I was feeling something, but it was kind of hard to explain because it was more like a brain signal and a
Mm.
thought process, and
Mm.
then I'm in a halo, so I can't look at my toes. I'm laying in a bed, so
Mm.
I'm like, I wonder if my toe is moving. I'm feeling like it's moving, but at the same time, me thinking that something was moving didn't matter any other time anyway because I really was paralyzed. But at the same time, it was like that's the mindset. I'm thinking, I'm wondering if my toes moving, you know. So it's like 6 months within that process. I asked my mom, could she look down and see, could she see it moving or seeing it shake or do anything, you
Mhm.
know, because I feel like I was moving it, you know.
Did
And
she?
she did.
Oh my God, what was the look on her face?
I said, I couldn't see her face either. She was down there by my toes.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, Mom, I said, Mom, I said, I'm trying to do it now. Did you see it? Were you watching? Every time I talk, I break concentration.
Yeah,
So when I'm talking to her,
it
I'm
wasn't the
asking her, you
yeah.
know, Cause she see it, and she's not responding to me. And then, unbeknownst to me though, she's crying. So,
I
and,
bet you there was a praise Jesus somewhere in there, wasn't there?
yeah, I mean, for her, of course, but she didn't say it though. Like that's the thing. She never spoke on like she didn't speak on anything. It was more like I can feel her faith. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I
Yeah.
could imagine how scary it is to say something that you really don't know. Like me today, like I don't speak on. I only have faith, but I don't speak on certain things because I really don't have an understanding or don't know.
yeah. Me and you are the same in that we don't really want to talk about religion. We could talk about spirituality all day
Right,
long.
right,
Hmm.
So,
right.
so when you saw your mom's face, was she smiling, crying, or
She was smiling. Well, she was really when she finally came around to me, she didn't say anything and she just shook her head up like slowly. And I'm like, Mom, she shook her head up and down and I'm like, Mom.
she was crying?
I'm like, Mom. Yeah, she started crying and I'm like, Mom. I like and I'm still like with my toe moving.
Just tell me
Like
if I move my toe,
that's
mama.
what I'm trying to figure out.
The anticipation's killing me. This is like a cliffhanger on
Exactly.
Netflix.
Yeah. Mom, come on. Help me
All
out
right,
here.
come on. All right, we done with that now. What's going on? All right.
All
Yeah.
right. So what'd she say?
But she said, yeah. She said, yeah. And then she's like, did you try to move it? And I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about it through my brain and I was trying to send a signal to my toe and just move something, you know what I'm saying? And I was
See, this is Maurice, and this is why me and you connect so much, is because despite doctors with all these letters after their name, despite nurses, despite all of these specialists, despite all these people that you're around with the power of your mind,
Hmm.
you told your toe to move.
Yeah. I
Now,
mean, I can't relate to that, but I mean, I was
hey,
told.
Dylan, stranger things have happened, bro.
No, I mean, but I was told. I was told he'll never walk, talk, think, eat on his own. He probably won't live past 3. He
oh man.
probably won't live past 10. Here I
And
am at 20, 22, almost 23,
with letters after your name, if I'm not
with
Oh
mistaken.
man.
with letters after my name.
And
Although that's not necessarily evidence that I can think, but
we know you can think. So before we move forward, I wanted to read one of the most, one of the passages that spoke to me the most,
Okay.
and I'm going to call myself out on this. This is part 18, death sentence. Maurice says, and I'm not even doing your accent, dude. I'm doing like an upper Uncton British accent while
I'm
I'm reading
cool. I like it. Look.
you got you got a young black man. I'm over here talking like, hello,
hello there, sir.
Look,
hello, sir.
different translations though, for sure.
Th- This is the voice. This is the voice of a black man from Georgia, right?
Shit. Shit. All right, you're gonna make me crack up. This is the Crumpton translation. From Shepherds to Shadows, narrated by Daniel Lewis Crumpton. Part 18, death sentence. I would be paralyzed for the rest of my life. That was equivalent to a death sentence to me at my youthful age. And how you were,
18.
yeah, would have been a death sentence for me too. I would have clocked out, Maurice. I'm sorry, buddy. You shit. Excuse my language. I would have rather been in prison for 25 years for making a mistake rather than being paralyzed. After 25 years, I would have eventually gotten out. I knew what I had to do for the rest of my life. Both were traumatic. I just knew that being paralyzed and all that came with it wouldn't surpass. Now my outlook is different because I'm different. I am in tune with what happened. There were no words or comfort that could help this situation. I was not looking for anyone to make it okay. Yet I did not fault anyone for not attempting to comfort. A person's empathy will only go so far before you're left to carry your own weight. Now, I had to call myself out this morning when I talked to you, Maurice, but first, um, what I want you to tell me is what does it mean to be in tune with what happened? What does that mean?
Like I really accepted and understood on a logical basis from my own perspective on what happened to me, what I'm going through, what my life consists of, not what my doctor, my mom, my brother. See, it was a lot of emotions, but I didn't feel the emotions. I felt the pain. I felt the new change in my life. I felt I felt abandoned every night once everybody went home and I was stuck with this new world that I had to live in, you know. So I had to regress from playing like I'm still Maurice, the one that was, and accept that this is me, and I'm not looking for anyone else to accept it. And I love my mom dearly, and that was one of the main things I had to get over first, like making sure she knew that just because I'm smiling every day when they come to the hospital doesn't mean that that's a genuine smile.
Yeah.
I've gotten caught up in like whatever systemically was programmed for me to smile about, but really I need to learn myself in this light. And that's what I was trying to skip past for the longest until I understood like I have to bottle down and focus on myself and like not worry about no one picking at me, not worrying about if anybody's gonna understand me, not worrying about if I'm gonna cry enough and talk loud enough that people can understand what I'm really going through. It's like it was time for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like at an early age, I just didn't understand, but it's like that's what I gained from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the way I would translate it to my process of recovery is would you say that being in tune with what happened is one, acceptance and moving
Exactly.
away from denial. It's like this is the situation I'm in, this is my pain, this it is what it is.
And what's next? What's my next evolution of what I have to do to make sure that I'm psychologically thinking
Hmm.
to where it won't harm me because I'm harming myself every night, you know.
Hmm.
And
And I think, I mean, this, and I'm learning this more and more every day. Um, until you get to that place of being in tune with what happened or being in tune with what is, you're on a merry-go-round.
and
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I
I
mean,
agree.
and I just learned this lesson that it's like, dude, until you just, walk away from denial about what it is, you can't go forward. You're going round and round and round.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I understand for sure.
So it's like being in tune with what happened is, and I shared in group tonight. Of course, I used to be a Sunday school teacher, so I'm a King James guy, and
Yeah.
there's the story of the Apostle Paul, right? The Apostle Paul, he's basically he was the replacement for Judas as far as the 12 disciples go, but he used to be a Pharisee, Sadducee. He was, he even said he was the most wretched of men, but God chose him to be his warrior, after Christ, rose. But there's this one passage, I'm pretty sure it's in Ephesians, might be wrong, might be Corinthians, I don't know. But Paul makes this comment where he says that there was a thorn in his flesh. Okay. Now, you have preachers that argue about what it was, but it says right there what it was. It was a demon sent to buffet his flesh, a demon, right? But Paul says that he cried out to God thrice to just take this thorn out of him, this thing that's perpetually tormenting him, to take it away. And the answer that came from on high was, my grace is sufficient for thee, right? So I was sharing that in group tonight, and I was like, you know, in recovery, be it physical, emotional, or mental, um, the hardest part for people who aren't successful in recovery is that they haven't come to the place to understand this parable about Paul, and they're always waiting for an event. And I said, people who are trying to recover until they get ready to recover or start the path of recovery are waiting for a Thanos snap.
You have to make the event.
Well, mm, I think
Yeah.
I think that it's a series of events, and in recovery we call that a process. So it's like for me personally, um, I had to accept or be in tune with there is no event for my conditions that's going to take it away. Okay. It has to be a maintenance process for the rest of my life. And then that's when the part from the Apostle Paul story just made sense to me. When God says, "My grace is sufficient for thee," he was saying, "Look, dude, this is to keep you humble. I've given you so many abilities and so many talents and so much power. You need this thorn in your flesh to stay humble." So
Right.
does that? I mean,
Resonate. Yeah, it does. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, you know. I mean, I wouldn't have life any different, but me catching a grasp on life, like you were saying, the grace part, the faith part, the understanding part, it it kind of drives my character on who I am.
mhm,
I wouldn't understand who I would be if I wasn't who I am today, you know,
yeah,
because I've done a lot of studying on who this person is today, you know,
mm,
compared to if if I would have walked another life, I could imagine me having to study something different, you know.
mm.
Hmm.
Well, that my last question to you ties right into the next question, which is that last statement, which is others' empathy will only get you so far, but eventually you got to carry your own weight. What does that?
Hmm.
Break that down for me.
Meaning, I mean, I guess it's a personal situation with me. Like, I've always cared so much. I mean, I grew up with four sisters. Give you a little background first. I grew up with four sisters. Um, at that moment, 5 to 6 nieces. So I had a lot of girls entangled into my life, you know. And all of them are older than me, my sisters. So I have a lot of empathy because they kept me with them on the level of teaching me a lot of, I would say, ways that women communicate with each other
Hmm.
that men don't.
Hmm.
They entangle me into that.
Hmm.
So I'm able to see another light on how women communicate with each other. So my empathy out here, even if I can't communicate with another man or communicate with someone that may not have certain things that I was raised with, I try to have that empathy out here. But once it's time for me to transition from myself, all that has to be put to the side, to the back burner, because the life that I walk is like I can't have that empathy burden on me, knowing that I have a walk of life as well that has to transpire. And it's more like I'm still empathetic. That's the crazy part. It's kind of hard not to be empathetic, but that's the fight. That's why I said it's like,
Well, I'll tell you, when I read it, dude, maybe I'm interpreting in my own, I'm projecting my own situation on it. But in the Baptist church, we used to say that convicted you, brother. You know, when something gets read from the book and
mhm,
you know you're guilty of it, you
that's
get
right.
convicted. You know what I mean? But when I was reading that last night, I was like, you know, not too long ago. Of course, you know a little bit about my story. I've been through trauma my whole life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just been compounded, compounded, compounded. Wild, crazy stuff. But recently, I had somebody, say to me, "Am I supposed to feel sorry for you?" And I
Mm.
had to think about that because I was like, they said you've been through so much, more than most. But am I supposed to feel sorry for you? Why are you laughing, Dylan?
Because I've had people say they feel sorry for me my whole life, and if somebody asked me that question, they would instantly become my best friend. Because because I can only speak for myself, but no matter how well intentioned people are when they say I feel sorry for you, it annoys me, and it shouldn't, but it does.
Okay, well, I'm different than you two guys because when this person said it to me, I was like, damn, I think subconsciously I do want people to feel sorry for me. And so, you know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah, no,
So
I get it.
I get you for
you
real.
know,
Like, yeah,
like I wasn't conscious of it, but it was like on a subconscious level, maybe I do.
right,
So when
right,
I read that in your book, I was like, okay, Maurice says lift your own weight, and it's like I think that's important. Once you get past denial, you know, that's what that is. It's beginning to lift your own weight to go.
right,
I'm tired of people feeling sorry for me because it's not necessary. This is my weight to carry.
right,
These are my issues to deal with, not anybody else's.
right,
And other people's empathy or sympathy for what I've gone through isn't going to fix me one iota.
right, right.
That the process to beginning to fix myself is all on my shoulders.
That's true.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
true.
that's kind of what it meant to me.
Right. And
Wow.
it resonates that way as well because it's like, don't get it twisted. Today I have a different outlook, but I still am that young man in that halo.
Yeah.
That's how deep that situation is to me. It like I'm appreciative for my higher power doing this for me,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I still am in that position
Hmm.
because it's a mental position that I'll never be able to shake. It's not like me going to play a football game that I forgot about.
Hmm.
Like that's part of my life now. And it's like for me to come out here and walk amongst people that haven't been through things in life that others have, I still have an empathetic side on this side and that side. And it's like a median in between those two. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I look physically okay, but mentally I'm scarred
Hmm.
on the level of these are my people. Like that hospital I went to
Hmm.
gave me a whole nother outlook on life. And it's like I don't know another way I could have went through that. And I'm so appreciative of being able to see another light now. It's like that's how it is. That's why I say I stand on both sides. I got a strength about me today, but I got a mental side about my past that will never leave me,
That's
you know.
that thorn in your side,
Like
right?
for real.
My grace is sufficient for thee.
Right.
You talked about in your book a little bit after you get out of the hospital, that you went into isolation for a while. Like you didn't want your friends and people from your old life seeing you for a while. Talk to that for a little bit.
Right. So when I first got out the hospital, I moved back to Fort Valley where I resided in the beginning. And just tried to get back to the normal things, came back home. People started coming to my house, visiting me, and I started feeling like I didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want people to see me anymore. I felt like
How come? How come you don't want them to see you?
it was almost crazy. I had them been through trauma and a bad situation, but it was almost embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, however that subconsciously plays out, it's like I was embarrassed that I had got hurt,
Hmm.
that I had left, that I had, you see what I'm saying? It's like, I can't explain it really, but that's how it felt. Like I was embarrassed to let people see me the way I was.
Hmm. It's weird, isn't it?
Very weird.
To have to let people see you vulnerable.
Right,
Hmm.
right,
That's that
yeah,
man thing, right?
right. But
Hmm.
that's why I say today it's a different thing. It's like I
Yeah.
only go for strength, you know? And it's like that strength is like, it's that inside thing. It has nothing to do with another human. It's just like, I know what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for a strength that I need to prevail in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what I do.
I bet you did a lot of praying during this process.
Oh yes, for sure, for
I no
sure.
doubt.
Like
So go ahead.
I did a lot of praying, like and and with that praying,
Who'd you pray to? Just out of
uh,
curiosity.
that's the trick. Like with I
That's
with
the
that
trick.
praying, with that praying and I don't even know how to say it, but no disrespect to anyone or anybody or anything, but with that praying, I found myself in trauma calling out to someone that I didn't really know. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? And I was calling a name that I was familiar with from others putting it into my brain.
mhm.
But during my state of trauma now, where I really need something that I had no understanding about, like I can't rely on someone to be like, this is who I should call on. So I called on God a lot.
Just the Most High.
Yes,
Most
but
High. Stan Lee, basically.
yes, but at, I began to
Not
say
sure if
a
Maurice
higher
will
power.
understand that reference.
Right, for sure. I got you. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, he does.
Yeah,
He's a
I
Marvelite.
got you for sure.
He's a true believer, Dylan.
Yes. But with no disrespect though, I didn't want to disrespect. So I called no names and I just respect the nature of my creator, Like,
It almost reminds me of that movie, The Mummy, back from the 90s, where the one Egyptian guy had every religious symbol around his neck just in case.
oh,
That would
yeah,
honestly
he playing it
probably
safe.
be me.
Like when the mummy was coming at him, he would hold up a cross, hold up an ankh, hold up a yin yang, just like, oh, which one's going to work?
Right. Back in
That would
reference though,
honestly
like
probably be me. I respect that.
Yeah, to a degree, I do too. It's like, hey, he's covering his bases. You know what
right.
I mean?
But
So
that's what I
Yeah.
was go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, but honestly, what we're speaking on right now, that's exactly what I'm saying to the true reality nature of it. Safeguarding yourself and having a true understanding scared me because, like you were saying, like I probably have all the pendants and chains on and stuff. That means you're really looking for a answer, an understanding, And it
You're
was like,
seeking.
yes, exactly. So, how true are you to call out a name rather than searching for a reality, knowing that you were created as a human too, and you only deserve the Most High's help.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all.
You know,
Mhm.
I mean, we were discussing last time, and I'm very serious about it. That yeah, if you read scriptures, holy men typically have their own unique, intimate version of God, right? They all have a different name for him.
Right, right,
I mean, he has a different relationship with
right,
each and every one of us. So who are you to say, who you call on, whatever
right.
syllables come out of your mouth? If it comes out Allah, you know who we're talking about.
Right, exactly. I have an
You know?
understanding. Like
Yeah,
that's my
Yeah.
main thing. I have an understanding of anybody's higher power.
yeah. And it's just got to be something outside of you that's bigger than you
That's right.
that loves you.
You got to know it's not you.
Yeah. Let's say that again, man. Say that
You
again.
have to know it's not you. Then you will get a sort of an understanding of what's going on.
You hear that, narcissists?
Oh God, you just said some. Whoa, got to put that on a shirt. You got to know it's not you. Got to know it's not you. Yeah, but I mean, clearly, whoever you did call on heard you. So, uh, after the isolation part, yeah, I think you went to your parents' house, and then they had everything customized with the bathroom and the handrails and the wheelchair ramp and all that. And to see that must have been. It's like this is my life now. But there's one part in your story that last night I just it dude, it made me jump up. Is whenever I think you walked into the room where your mom was and she just started crying. Would
Oh yeah.
talk about that for a second, man.
Oh yeah. So so every day my mom would go where we were at the halfway house. This was like a year and 2 months after the accident. So and I had been progressing pretty good. So we were at the halfway house, and she would go get groceries and do a little shopping and laundry and everything day by day because we were living together. It was just me and her. My dad had went back to Fort Valley. She decided to stay with me. Only one parent could stay.
Mhm.
So,
You know it's gonna be mama.
yeah, of course, gotta be her. I
Got
wouldn't choose no other way. I'm cool with Pops, but you know what's up. But yeah, so during this little 2 month stint, I'll say, and my physical therapist and my occupational therapist coming in as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I understand physical therapy. What is occupational therapy?
So,
Occupation. Go ahead.
sorry, an occupational therapist, to my understanding, as somebody who's only had one, is somebody who comes in and helps adapt your environment,
Correct.
adapts the technology around you
Okay.
to your physical limits.
Okay.
Correct.
Shows you how to use your tech.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I needed anything like a extension bar to reach things on the top shelf, because I'm in a wheelchair,
Hmm.
I would need her to show me how to use it properly,
Hmm.
how to get to the sink and wash dishes properly, how
So
to,
Q from James Bond, she was your gadgeteer.
yeah, pretty much,
Okay, cool, cool. I got you.
wash my clothing and all that, those sorts of things.
Okay.
But yeah. So my mom, she's out one day and she's going to get groceries and she comes back. And when she comes back, I'm sitting on the sofa.
Just for people listening, I'm looking at Maurice. He's got the biggest smile on his face. I hope that that's coming across because I know that, dude, I was in the moment with you when I was reading it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So yeah, and I'm smiling like crazy, yeah, because it's exciting at this moment. Like first time standing, y'all. But yeah,
Never gonna walk again, huh?
yep. So she's sitting, well, I'm sitting on the sofa. She comes in the door. She looks at me, but she's not really noticing anything different. I've done a transfer from my wheelchair to the sofa, but this is all like a ploy so that I can stand up on the chair because I'm able to balance myself in between the chairs. So she sits down on the sofa and she continues to watch TV. And so I'm over there to make sure I get it right. I'm not calling her and be like, Mom, look. So I'm over there trying to push up and ease and grab my gravity, grab my balance back with gravity because it's totally different. And so I'm like a broom trying to balance. You got a broom upside down trying to balance on the knob. That's how it felt when you're trying to do this. Okay. So I stood up and I balanced myself for a little while, about 5 seconds, and I started falling back down. And then she wasn't watching me at the moment. So I did it again. As soon as I pushed up and stood up, I said, Mom. And then she looked at me. And then when she looked at me, she actually took a picture for me because I gave her a camera, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I actually have that picture. And she,
All right, you got to send me that picture.
yeah, I got you. I
By
got
the
you for
way,
sure.
just out of curiosity, not that I'm not listening to you because I am intently, but I'm also a Virgo.
Hmm.
You know your microphone is that little red thing beside your face, right?
Okay. Okay. Oh, I just hold this right here. Yeah.
Yeah, for the people listening, for the past 20 minutes, Maurice is wearing a headset with a mic that comes out of the earphones, but there's a volume control box about midway on the cord.
Has he been talking into the volume control? Ah, terrible tech support, Daniel.
And I haven't said anything, but slowly over this podcast, my smile has been getting bigger because I'm like, Eddie, you're still doing it, Maurice. You're still holding the volume box.
I just have to have something in my hand, man. That's just how I feel.
I understand that compulsion.
Sorry.
Oh, you good, man? No thanks.
It's funny to watch. Well, hey, hold the box if you want to, man. It's all good. All right, so your mom took the picture. You're gonna send me that picture. Then tell me what happened, man.
Sure. Oh yeah. So she took the picture and she asked me how long you been able to do that,
Mm,
and I responded, that's my first time, and she was like, my mom's like, she holds her emotion. I could imagine being a fly on the wall and watching her
mm.
cry and
Mom,
rejoice, but I've never seen her like. I'm more emotional than her. That's how crazy it is.
mothers are a well of secrets.
Whoa, man, like for real.
Mhm.
And I think back on it, I'm the child, and I'm like, how did she do that? Like, if I was my child, to hold my composure, to make sure that my child has a strength about him or herself,
Mhm.
like, I commend her for that because I
Well,
can't hold my composure for myself.
I hear you, dude. So, because we're running out of time,
Okay.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we're about to be out. Sorry.
no worries. But to summate, so from standing up for the first time to what I have the honor and privilege of knowing today, which is you walked over here.
Right. Right.
You know, one of my favorite things to do is see you out there shooting hoops in the cul-de-sac. That's basketball, right?
That's right. That's right. You got it right.
Look at you knowing
Everything. Look,
stuff.
But you know it because and to the both of you guys, and as Little Wayne would say, no homo. Not that there's anything against that, you know,
that's
whatever you
right.
do.
That's right.
I love the both of you guys, and the both of you guys to me are just heroes and beacons of hope for me because most of my stuff is internal, and it sometimes is unbearable, absolutely unbearable, which is, you know, why I'm in recovery.
And that's where the empathy comes in at. So we love you too,
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
know, your paper cut and my paper cut are the same, no matter.
No matter. But for
Mhm.
me, like for me to know Dylan and know that a lot of people in his position would just be like, whatever,
Right.
it is what it is. But Dylan just achieves, achieves, achieves. You know, when he graduated college, I was so thankful for that.
That's what's
And
up.
he's happy with life. You know what I mean? I mean, as much as we can be.
Right.
And then I see you out here playing basketball and playing with your little girls, walking around, you know, doing landscaping and things like that. And I sit in here, you know, when I'm all alone and I go, man, if they can do it, if they can make it through. I mean, I have miracles all around me for
Right.
examples.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So
totally do.
I
Yeah.
want to, I just want to say that. And I suggest anybody else who's going through stuff to surround yourself with superheroes, man, because I'm
Hmm.
surrounded by them, that's for sure. But tell me
Yeah.
what it's been like from the first time standing to now, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. How did you get from there to here?
Okay. Mentally, it was a long ride. The physical ride and journey from not being able to stand to now being able to walk and travel a distance without getting too tired and fatigued. It's like that was a process that I wasn't able to take note on, but that mental process I did take note on, and it's gonna stick with me forever because it it gave me something that I didn't know as a human that I possessed, like that mental strength to endure, like you were saying earlier, like that endurance to endure, like anything in life as a human, like it opened my eyes up
Hmm.
from that day not being able to walk to today I'm walking. Those are just little words, but what I can see now, I really can't even explain. I have my English words and American words, but it's like my expression is really within my brain. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why I say empathy a lot because it's like I can see what anybody has capability of doing, as long as I'm able to see them now. You know what I'm saying? I can see them in everyone in a different light now.
All right, before we run out, if you had one sentence to say to people who are going through traumatic events, what one piece of advice would you give people in those situations?
Man, I would tell you to stay strong, believe in yourself, and have real logical intentions about what you want. Like
Hmm.
on a level of not from anyone out here, but from the you that's inside, the you that you feel like you know you are, you know?
Yeah. Be realistic with yourself, but always push yourself.
Right, right. Have a strength about it, for sure.
All right, and where can people get your book? What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is From Shepherds to Shadows, and the author is Maurice Falling, and it's on Amazon, and you can get it from the Kindle copy or the paperback copy.
All right, and I'll probably put the links will, as the kiddies say, the links will be below for your clickage enjoyment. All right, man. I had a great time with this one. I think that we should do more. You're always welcome on board the Bridge of this Enterprise. Right, Dylan?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah, man.
appreciate you all for
Absolutely.
inviting me tonight, and I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah.
because me and you have so many different philosophical and spiritual conversations, I got to have you back on again and again and again.
Hey, Hey, I'm with it for sure.
I'll make sure we have some pub mix. Dylan, why don't you roll us out of this?
All
No
right.
no pun intended, Dylan. Sorry.
No, good pun. You should have intended it.
That's what's up.
All right.
Get us out, Dylan.
Let's roll this out. This is the end of the Super Show Ever, episode 2021. We will be back soon with something weird, I assure you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're doing so well.
No, you didn't.
No. Go ahead. Recoup. Dylan, wrap us up, please, without me interrupting.
Did we already record something that has all our social media?
Not yet. So go ahead and do that right now, and then break the fourth wall.
All right, that's the end of the Super Show Ever, episode 2021. We will be back with something weird shortly, but until then, you can find us at Zen in the Car on Facebook. You can find us at zeninthecar.com. You subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and check us out on Patreon at Zen in the Car. Stay tuned for next episode.
Good for you.